One eye for the other. As one of the first and most comprehensive sets of laws, the Code of Babylonian monarch Hammurabi declares, "Kill and be killed." Today, however, more than 2/3 of the world have done away with the death sentence in an effort to disassociate justice from the crime of murder. Most states in the US still permit the death penalty, and the US continues to be unique among democracies across the world in upholding the death sentence. But how prevalent is the death punishment globally? How is it implemented in various countries? It's time to get your passports and embark on some crime tourism. In this video, we will be comparing death row around the world. But before that, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for more amazing content. Now, without further ado, let's start. United States. The capital sentence is available in 30 states in the United States, with about 20 people awaiting their execution date. Prior to the state switching to the gas chamber and electric chair as a more humane way to execute people, hanging and the firing squad were the main methods of carrying out the death penalty with the Grim Reaper. It turns out that neither of those methods were particularly humane, and lethal injection now serves as the most common method of execution. However, growing evidence indicates that lethal injection is also a very painful method of execution, prompting some states to consider bringing back the traditional alternatives of hanging and firing squads. Additionally, the guillotine was suggested, emphasizing its effectiveness and quickness of death. But it appears that for the time being, we'll stay with a deadly injection or perhaps a few firing squads. China. China, which receives a lot of criticism for maintaining the death penalty, is thought to execute thousands of people every year. Because the Chinese government tries so hard to suppress such unsavory activity, it is challenging to gain an accurate count. However, it is well known that there is such a strong demand for executions in China that the nation bought a fleet of death vans that could go quickly from prison to prison, carrying out speedy and effective executions on each visit. It is not surprising that China is at the top, given the 46 crimes for which the death penalty is mandatory, ranging from embezzlement to army surrender. China predominantly uses lethal injections for executions, but firing squads have been known to be utilized on occasion. Iran. It is not surprising that Iran executes a large number of people each year, given that offenses like drug trafficking and making or distributing pornography are punishable by the death penalty. Perhaps surprisingly, the state actively works to block executions when murder is involved. The Iranian government views murder as a private affair between the victim's family and the perpetrator, and the victim's family is given the option. They can choose to execute the killer rather than pardoning them and making them make a hefty monetary reparation. The price of 100 camels, which must be paid in cash, is the official debt owed to the family of a murder victim. Officially, the family will only receive half that amount if the victim was a female. Iranians can be put to death by hanging, firing squad, or stoning. Because Iran is sexist when carrying out executions, a man gets buried to his waist and a lady to her neck during a stoning. Unsurprisingly, if the victim is able to escape the stoning pit before being killed, they are free to leave. Men have a considerably better chance of escaping than women if they are only partially buried. Indonesia. Indonesia is another nation that violently implements anti-drug legislation. Although it may be toying with the concept of doing away with the death penalty, Indonesia nonetheless regularly executes people, most often drug traffickers and producers. Although there are no designated executioners, fire weapons are the technique of choice here. Instead, a specialized police squad does this difficult task while being compensated with less than $100 on top of their usual salary. Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia strictly abides by traditional and extremely conservative Muslim law, which requires beheading as the method of death, most offenses. Although the firing squad is rarely employed, beheading is the method of choice for almost all executions. The offenses are read aloud as the condemned is brought outside to the courtyard. The executioner then quickly separates the head from the body. Although it may sound antiquated, the truth is that this is probably one of the fastest and most humane methods to die. The beheaded body is then crucified and placed on public display for up to 3 days if the culprit was extremely terrible. However, if you're a foreign journalist with a demanding schedule, Saudi Arabia will execute you and even save your family money on burial costs by flushing your body down the toilet. Pakistan. Pakistan has 27 offenses that are punishable by death, making it one of the top 3 countries in the world that executes people, along with China and Iran. Blasphemy is one of these crimes, and is really thought to be one of the greatest transgressions, which is perhaps not surprising for such a conservative and fundamentalist nation. Defaming the Quran will only result in life in jail, but sullying the Prophet Muhammad's holy name will very surely result in your death. The death sentence is also applied for homosexuality and piracy, and it is considered treacherous to leave Islam and join a faith that actively opposes it. Yemen. Despite being a small country, Yemen has one of the highest per capita execution rates in the world. In this country, any capital crimes, including rape, murder, and terrorism, are punishable by death. It may also be put into effect for offenses against Islamic law, such as blasphemy, adultery, sexual misbehavior, sodomy, and prostitution. The sole method of execution now in practice is the firing squad, despite the fact that stoning, hanging, and beheading are all permissible under Yemeni law. Egypt. Egypt is another country that regularly executes people, and it still applies the death sentence in cases of murder, terrorism, and rape. The death penalty may also be required when a crime results in death or serious physical harm to others, as in the instance of the riot at Port Said Stadium. The violence started when winning football fans invaded the opposing side stands and started pelting them with clubs, rocks, and other homemade weapons. 74 people died. The majority of them were crushed to death by the terrified throng as a result of the police's failure to open the stadium gates. 10 people were found guilty of participating in the riot and sentenced to death by hanging. Iraq. Saddam Hussein routinely invokes Iraq. Ironically, he would ultimately receive the death penalty for his crimes against the Iraqi people, since in this country, offenses like auto theft and sabotage of the national economy, a catch-all word for piracy, bootlegging, and other economic crimes, can result in death sentences. If you attempt to smuggle out substantial quantities of antiquated relics from the nation, you too could be put to death. The favored method of execution in Iraq is hanging, and Saddam Hussein met his own demise this way after being captured, which was a mercy for a man who cruelly tormented and killed thousands of people. United Arab Emirates. Another nation with fundamentalist roots is the United Arab Emirates, which still imposes the death penalty for serious crimes like treason, murder, violent robbery, and rape. However, the UAE also punishes adultery and apostasy with the death sentence as capital offenses. However, due to the law's requirement that 3 judges must unanimously approve of its use, the death sentence is rarely used. The UAE, like other fundamentalist nations, offers the alternative for the victim's family to receive a financial payment instead of the culprit incurring the death penalty. The amount for murder is around $54,450, and the accused still risks 2 to 3 years in prison, even if reimbursement is agreed upon. The fact that the UAE also imposes a death sentence for environmental offenses may be the most shocking of all. Those who are sentenced to death will be executed by firing squad, frequently with the victim's family present. That's it, guys. Execution methods included fatal injection, hanging, beheading, electrocution, and other types of gunshots by firing squad and at close range to the heart or the head. If you liked the video, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Leave a like, share with your friends and families, and jot down your thoughts in the comment section below.